Have you ever paused to truly think about how confusing the word love can actually be?
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll say, oh, I love hot dogs, and then maybe 5 minutes later, I love my mother.
Same word, totally different universe of meaning.
Exactly. It's the same four letters, but the feeling, the depth, it's just worlds apart. So how do we cut through that confusion?
Yeah.
How do we really express and receive love in the relationships that matter most?
That's really the heart of our deep dive today, isn't it? We're going to explore Dr. Gary Chapman's really insightful framework, the five love languages.
Okay.
Our mission, really, is to unpack these five distinct ways people feel most deeply cherished. We want to explore why miscommunication happens so often when we're basically speaking different emotional dialects.
Right, like ships passing in the night.
Precisely. And crucially, we want to give you some practical ways to apply this knowledge, hopefully to enrich your own relationships.
And it all seems to tie back to this idea Dr. Chapman has, the emotional love tank.
Yes, the love tank metaphor. Think of it like your car's fuel gauge.
Okay.
When that tank is full, you feel secure, you feel connected, you can handle life's bumps a bit more smoothly.
Makes sense.
But when it's running low or even empty, you feel drained, maybe unappreciated, maybe even resentful.
And it's important you mentioned to separate this kind of deep emotional love from that initial feeling, that falling in love rush.
Absolutely critical. That euphoric, almost instinctive phase, it's wonderful, no doubt. But it's temporary.
How long does it usually last?
Typically, Dr. Chapman suggests maybe a year or two, sometimes less. True, lasting emotional love, the kind that really sustains relationships over the long haul, well, that isn't just a feeling, it's a deliberate choice.
A choice you make day in, day out.
Exactly, an intentional choice.
Mhm.
Dr. Chapman saw this constantly in his marriage counseling work.
He noticed a pattern.
A really consistent one. Couples were often genuinely trying hard to show love, but they were doing it in the way they liked to give it or receive it.
Not necessarily how their partner needed it.
Precisely. And this persistent disconnect, it led to so much frustration, so much hurt. His big aha moment was realizing that what makes one person feel loved doesn't automatically click for another.
Which led him to identify these 5 core languages.
Yes, these five fundamental emotional love languages.
Okay, so let's unpack them. Let's dive in. First up is words of affirmation.
Right. Words of affirmation. This is all about using words to genuinely build someone up, to encourage them to express appreciation.
So not just a quick thanks.
No, it goes deeper. For someone whose primary language this is, specific affirming words are they're like emotional nourishment, life-giving.
I can totally see that. It's not just, hey, you look nice today, but maybe something more specific like the example of Keith telling his wife Allison how much her writing moves him.
Exactly, or how her words paint these vivid pictures for him. That's specific affirmation.
And what about praising effort? Like if a teenager mows the lawn, maybe not perfectly.
Yes, acknowledging the hard work, the effort they put in, rather than just pointing out the bits they missed, that can make them feel truly seen, truly valued. It fills that tank.
And the flip side must be true too, right? For someone who needs words, harsh words must be devastating.
Oh, absolutely devastating. It's like a direct hit to their emotional core, as you said. Negative or critical words cut incredibly deep for someone with this primary language.
And it's not about flattery either, is it? There's a
A
difference.
huge difference. Flattery is insincere. It's often manipulative. The person hearing it usually picks up on the lack of authenticity pretty quickly.
And that just erodes trust.
Exactly. It doesn't build love at all. The intention behind the words, that genuineness, is absolutely key here.
Okay, that's clear. Next up, quality time.
Quality time. And this isn't just about, being physically present in the same room while one person's on their phone and the other's watching TV.
Right, it's more than proximity.
Much more. It's about giving someone your undivided, focused attention, really being present with them.
And there are different ways to do that. Different dialects, you call them.
Yes, two main dialects here. The first is quality conversation.
Okay.
This means sympathetic dialogue, sharing experiences, thoughts, feelings without constant interruption. It's about listening to understand, not just listening to reply or fix.
Ah, the fixing trap. It's so easy to fall into.
It really is. Think about that story of Patrick. His wife felt unheard because he always jumped in with solutions instead of just listening to her pain, validating her feelings.
He was trying to help, but speaking the wrong language.
Exactly. He wasn't hearing her unspoken need for empathy, for connection through conversation. Using I statements instead of you statements can really help here foster that open communication.
Good tip. And the second dialect of quality time.
That's quality activities. This is about doing things together. The focus isn't necessarily the activity itself, but the fact that you're doing it together, sharing an experience.
So like going for a run together or maybe seeing a concert?
Could be anything, really, even doing chores together, if the focus is on connecting while you do it. The message is, you matter. I like spending time with you.
It makes me think of those mismatches, like Andrea wanting Mark's time, not just compliments. Or that classic Dead Sea listener dating the babbling brook talker dynamic.
Those mismatches are so common. A really practical tip is just asking your partner, hey, what are 5 things you'd really enjoy doing together sometime soon?
Simple but effective.
Very. Even planning a small weekend getaway, just focusing on being together, can make a huge difference for someone who needs quality time.
Okay, moving on. The third language. Receiving gifts. This one sometimes gets a bit of a bad rap, doesn't it? Like it's materialistic.
It can be misunderstood, definitely. But for people whose primary language is receiving gifts, these aren't just objects, they're tangible symbols of love.
Tangible symbols. Okay.
Yeah, they're reminders that someone was thinking of them, that they care. And honestly, the cost often matters very little.
It's the thought that counts. Truly.
Absolutely. Unless, perhaps, the cost is wildly out of sync with what someone can afford, then it might feel uncomfortable. But generally, it's the thoughtfulness, the effort, the visible token of affection that speaks volumes.
Like that example of the dandelion from a child. Or finding a cool feather while jogging.
Perfect examples. Or a handmade card. It doesn't have to be extravagant. Remember Eric giving Kelsey that baseball from their first date?
Oh, yeah, with the inscription. That was so thoughtful.
Exactly. 15 years later, it was still one of her most treasured possessions. It wasn't about the monetary value. It was a powerful symbol of a shared memory and his thoughtfulness.
And there's also that idea of the gift of self.
Yes, the gift of presence. This is crucial. Think of Sonia, whose husband missed their baby's birth and her mother's funeral for softball.
Oof, that's rough.
It was devastating for her. His presence was the gift she desperately needed in those moments. Its absence spoke louder than any words or future actions could. For some, just being there is the most valuable gift you can give.
That really reframes it.
Yeah.
It's not just about stuff.
Not at all. And for someone who naturally tends to be a saver, understanding that thoughtful gift giving is actually an investment in the relationship's emotional bank account can be a real mindset shift.
Like Doug giving his wife a rose every day, a small investment with huge returns in her feeling loved.
Exactly. It radically changed their relationship because he started speaking her language consistently.
Okay, next up, acts of service.
Acts of service. This means doing things for your partner. Things you know they would appreciate, actions that make their life a bit easier or lighten their load.
So doing the dishes, taking out the trash.
Could be. But the key here is that it's not about doing chores because you have to or because you were nagged into it. It stems from an internally motivated desire to serve, to express love through helping.
It's about the motivation behind the action.
Precisely. Dr. Chapman shares his own story about vacuuming. He hated it as a kid. His mom made him do it.
Right.
But he does it now, regularly, because it's his wife's primary love language. And he points out something important. When you do an act of service that doesn't come naturally to you,
It means even more.
it can be an even greater expression of love because it requires conscious effort, maybe even sacrifice. It says, I'm doing this specifically for you because I love you.
That's powerful. It makes me think of Dave and Mary again. Her complaints about his hunting.
Weren't really about the hunting itself, were they?
No, they were like indirect pleas for acts of service. She wanted him to wash the car, vacuum, things she valued.
And when he started doing those things, understanding her language, her whole attitude shifted. She felt loved, her tank filled up, and then she could actually support his hobby.
It shows we can be doing a lot, thinking we're showing love, but if it's not their language,
It might not register. It might not land. That's why it's so critical to let your partner guide you. Ask them, what are some things I could do that would make you feel really loved and supported?
don't assume you know what they see as an act of service.
Exactly. Tune into their needs, their perspective.
Okay, that brings us to the fifth and final language, physical touch.
Physical touch. For people who speak this language, touch communicates love much more powerfully than words or even gifts or services.
It's a very direct connection.
Extremely direct. Physical contact conveys security, comfort, belonging, love. Now, touch receptors are all over the body, but not all touch is created equal.
Meaning,
Meaning, what feels loving to one person might not feel loving to another. Your partner is the best instructor on what kind of touch feels good, what feels comforting, what feels loving to them.
So it's about learning their specific dialect of touch.
Absolutely. Don't just assume or insist on your own way or timing. It could be holding hands while walking, a quick squeeze of the shoulder, sitting close on the couch, a hug before leaving the house.
Little things can mean a lot.
Huge amounts. Remember Joe and Maria? After getting married, Maria thought touch was less important and stopped initiating.
And Jill felt completely unloved, right?
Yeah.
Even though she was doing other things.
Deeply unloved and abandoned. Because his primary language wasn't being spoken anymore. They had to learn about the languages to fix that deep disconnect.
And that story about Carlos.
Wow. His father used touch for discipline, spanking.
But failed to provide loving, affirming touch. So Carlos grew up associating touch with negativity, feeling profoundly unloved, despite his father's likely, underlying intentions.
It really highlights how crucial loving touch is. Withdrawing it or using it negatively can create such distance.
It absolutely can. The body is for touching in a loving way within a relationship. It's a fundamental way we connect.
Okay, so we have these 5 powerful languages. But why do things still go wrong? Why do mismatches cause so much conflict?
Well, think back to that in-love euphoric phase, when that naturally fades, as it always does.
Reality sets in.
Right. And if partners haven't learned to consciously, intentionally speak each other's primary love language,
Whoa.
what happens?
Their love tanks start to empty out. Exactly. And that emptiness leads to feeling hurt, misunderstood, disappointed, maybe even resentful. And that's the breeding ground for conflict. That's where things can really spiral.
But you said earlier, love becomes a choice then.
It does. And the amazing thing about understanding these languages is that it gives you a positive, proactive plan for navigating those conflicts, for choosing love.
It's not just about diagnosing the problem, but offering a solution.
Precisely. Look at Brent and Becky. Their marriage was on the rocks. Brent was even considering infidelity.
But learning her love language changed things.
It completely turned things around. He made the choice to learn and speak her language, even when his feelings weren't initially there. And that act of choosing love in a way she could receive it rebuilt their connection profoundly. Their marriage was reborn, as they put it.
That's incredible. And you mentioned something earlier about criticisms.
Ah, yes. This is such a key insight. Often, maybe even usually, your partner's criticisms are actually clues.
Clues to their love language.
Yes. It's often an ineffective, maybe even clumsy way of pleading for love in their primary language.
So when someone says you never help around the house,
Mm.
they might be pleading for acts of service. Or we never just talk anymore. Could be a cry for quality conversation.
Reframing criticism as a plea. That changes everything. Instead of getting defensive.
You can try to hear the unmet need underneath. It allows you to respond with understanding, potentially, rather than just reacting.
That also seems related to the difference between making a request and making a demand.
Absolutely crucial distinction. Request affirm your partner. They acknowledge their worth, their ability to choose. It fosters intimacy.
Like, hey, could you maybe make that amazing pasta dish sometime this week?
That's a request. It invites cooperation, but demands. Demands feel like tyranny.
Like, why don't we ever have a decent meal? You need to cook more.
Exactly. Demands suffocate love. They create resistance, resentment, because love, true emotional love, always has to be a choice. Requests honor that choice. Demands try to extinguish it. Okay, this is all incredibly insightful. So for everyone listening, how can you figure out your own primary love language? And maybe just as importantly, how do you figure out the language of your partner or your kids or friends?
Great questions. For discovering your own language, there are a few practical things you can do. First, think about, what do you complain about most often in your relationship?
So if it's we never go anywhere fun, maybe quality activities?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Second, consider, what do you most often request from your partner if you're always asking for a hug or a back rub?
Physical touch is probably high on your list.
Likely, yes. And third, a really telling one, how do you naturally show love to others? We often, unconsciously, express love in the way we most deeply desire to receive it ourselves.
Oh, that's interesting. So I'm always giving little gifts.
Receiving gifts might be your primary language, or at least very important to you. There's also a kind of process of elimination Chapman mentions. If you had to give up 4 of the 5 ways of feeling loved, which one would be the absolute hardest to live without?
That really forces you to zero in on what matters most.
It does. And then, for discovering your partner's language, or someone else's, you just apply the same principles, but observe them.
Listen to their complaints, their criticisms, What's the underlying plea?
Exactly. Observe what they request most often from you or from others.
And watch how they naturally express love or appreciation towards you or people they care about.
Precisely. Those are usually your biggest clues.
So focus on the primary language, but you also mentioned becoming multilingual.
Yes, that's really important too. While zeroing in on the primary language gives you the most bang for your buck, emotionally speaking.
It fills the tank fastest.
Right. But ideally, you want to learn to sprinkle in all 5 languages. Become fluent or at least conversational in all of them. And remember, speaking a language that doesn't come easily to you.
Like Dr. Chapman in the vacuuming.
Exactly. That can be an even more powerful statement of love because it clearly demonstrates effort and choice and sacrifice, all for the sake of your partner's well-being.
And it's okay if it takes practice. Trial and error.
Absolutely. Especially with things like physical touch, you need to be sensitive to mood and preference. You learn by trying, paying attention to the response, and adjusting. It's a journey, not a one-time fix.
It really is amazing, though, how understanding these, well, relatively simple concepts can just fundamentally shift the emotional climate in a relationship, foster that deeper connection we all crave.
It truly can be transformative. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'd really encourage you, everyone listening, to take a moment right now or later today and just consider,
Okay.
first, what do you think your primary love language is? Just take a guess based on what we've discussed. Second, what do you suspect is the primary love language of one significant person in your life? Could be a partner, a child, a parent, a close friend.
Pick one person.
Just one for one. And then the final provocative thought, what might actually happen if you made a conscious choice, just a small effort, to speak their suspected love language this week, even just once?
What difference could that one intentional act make?
Exactly. Just observe what happens.
That's a powerful challenge. We invite you to explore these ideas, maybe read the book, and just watch the shifts happen in your own relationships. Thanks for diving deep with us.